You know, I thought this thing was long gone.
So does it look any worse than when you owned it?
Yeah, it looks a lot worse. My name is Greg Nicholson. I own the car from the late 70s to the early 80s. I was the last owner to have the car that didn't crash it.
You actually had it for a while.
Yeah.
And you drove it quite a bit?
Oh yeah, it was a definite chick magnet. There's no doubt about that.
That's the beauty of the Cudas, man. They
oh,
did
yeah.
Every one of these cars that has spent any time at all on the road has a story to tell. If you look at the front end of this, I've had this on the frame rack, and I know it looks sad, but we've already made pulls on it. It still looks bad. Yeah. But we have the rest of the front end pieces out back. Mm-hmm. My problem is everything's this way. If you look at this apron, it should be in straight line with this right here. Mm-hmm. So this edge of the fender should be here. So it's over a foot. Greg took a few minutes with me and he explained to me how he had heard about the wreck.
You know, here's the car here. He comes around it like this. He oversteers coming back through. He loses it.
On that side of the road.
Hits on this side of the road, on this side over here, and then flips up and over the top of him. And because that way it catches the back also too. But and that corner is kind of consistent with something like that happening.
He could have come back up, some version of it, up, and that truck came right underneath him.
Correct, yeah.
So he told me that the Ford truck and the guys, they were buddies of his. Yeah. That there was actually orange paint on the roof of the truck.
There might have been as he was flying over it, but
so
I mean,
think he literally flew over the top?
If you catch something in the ground to turn around and go 10, 15 feet up in the air, I mean, that could happen really
like
quickly.
A catapult.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Just like all the guys I know who ever had muscle cars, we had to sacrifice the cars to be able to support the rest of our lives, which usually meant family, school. I met a gal, says either lose the car or lose me, same story. So I lost the car, kept her. Well, now she's gone, I wish I had my car back.
It was one of those things of where you got laid off and you know you just had to make ends meet. You know, it's one of those things of where you kind of bite your tongue and say, you know, well, I'll get another one or it'll happen again. But you know, the reality is that you know those are a one in a lifetime type deals. So you know, you're not going to see something like that again.
So that is where you cut it right here.
Mm-hmm. I figured, okay, it's stable enough, I can cut it and get away with running the 50s on it, and it makes it like a slot car, so you know you can stick it in a corner and it just holds really well.
You had it in the late 70s, 318 in it,
yeah.
440's gone.
Yeah.
Can you even remember back thinking to yourself,
where was it?
Either where was it, or you heard a story of where it was, anything at all?
I had heard that it had been blown, so.
Oh.
You can talk to like kids today about, you know, old cars. They have no concept.
It was awesome talking with Greg and hearing about his old Mopar stories and just getting to talk about Mopars with him in general.
To bring back old Detroit muscle, I mean, it's just like, you know, that's something they've got to hear, see, and experience. You know, I mean, it's just, you can't really describe it. It's just something that you learn, you know, something that you feel. So seeing the car in the shape it's in now, it's kind of, it brings back mixed emotions. You know, I really didn't want to sell the car at the time. You know, the economy was even worse than it is now. I'm kind of excited about seeing it when it gets done. You know, that's the cool thing.
Yeah. You could just tell by the way that he looked at it. He really loved that car.
Hey everybody, Mark here from Graveyard Carz. I can't put the top up until you hit subscribe. So I'm begging you, hit subscribe.